Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. I have not kept up with doing videos as much as usual. I've had a lot on my plate with the last month and a half with my company and just a bunch of things that I'm working on, and I have not had time to catch up on everything. So I apologize there for just not being consistent with covering the issues that matter to me and the issues that matter to you. Today I want to go over what's been going on in Colorado. Colorado is a state that's been a model for right to repair. There's been several right to repair bills passed there. I've talked about the bill for wheelchairs, I've talked about the bill for tractors, and I'm very excited to see how that's been working out. Now, there have been many attempts to roll this back in a very sneaky way, and I want to talk about that sneaky way today. Is this critical infrastructure? This little Linksys switch that costs like 20 bucks? Is this MSI laptop critical infrastructure? Well, under this bill, many of these items could potentially be considered critical infrastructure and therefore exempt. You see, if you were to exempt people from fixing things or right to repair based on critical infrastructure, meaning Lewis, who can barely hang a television on his wall, is not allowed to go out and start fixing bridges that 100,000 or 200,000 pound trucks are going over, I can understand that a little bit. But that's not what's going on here. They're trying to sneak this stuff in because they lost when it comes to right to repair. So there's a bill that's going through Colorado right now. It's SB 26090, which could potentially lead to laptops, network switches, and printers all being considered critical infrastructure and thereby being exempt from the bill. Because the bill is using a federal definition that covers 16 sectors, everything from healthcare to finance to food to communications to energy. If you take a look at this, even basic food service stuff was considered critical infrastructure during COVID. Almost everything would be exempt from being fixed. Most importantly, it's the manufacturer that decides whether something is intended for critical infrastructure. So if I produce a product and I want to be exempt from this right to repair bill, I can simply say, well, don't you use this switch in an office, in a federal building of some sort? Critical infrastructure. Don't you use Dell laptops when you work at the Pentagon? Critical infrastructure. And everything becomes something that is not fixable. Colorado passed some of the strongest right to repair bills over the past several years, and that's with the help of all of you. These bills did not do everything that I want them to do. And yeah, I'm going to admit, as I said in 2023, I'm not going to come out here and pretend that every single repair shop has a great and easy job doing everything. We can just get the chips that we need, that schematics are available. A lot of the right to repair programs, as Andy at Salem Techspress has pointed out, and as I've pointed out, have massive gaping holes in them. I'm not going to come out here and pretend that I won, but I'm also not going to come out here and allow them to take that festering wound and just start pouring salt on it and stepping on it at the same time. If you take a look, Cisco has been spending millions and millions of dollars lobbying, and in their disclosure, they say that they are doing this related to right to repair, and Cisco is behind a lot of the push here. You'll also see TechNet is behind a lot of it as well. You can find me responding to TechNet lobbyists here and here. They're not pro right to repair, and they're usually just reading off of a script, some generic nonsensical bullshit that try and please the people that are paying them. This is mostly about Cisco from what I see. Cisco has a support monopoly. If you can't even download software updates without their contracts, if you go to a third-party repair person, they will actually void your warranty, which is technically illegal under Magnuson Moss, and their support contracts can cost 2 to 3 times what it goes through an independent, sometimes 4, depending on the independent you're dealing with. They are really the ones behind this. They want to be able to say that their equipment is intended for use in critical infrastructure, therefore nobody should be allowed to fix it, and try and get support from people saying, oh yeah, critical infrastructure, we can't have Lewis just working on this bridge from the highway, but that's not really what this is about. It's about having a very broad definition of what critical infrastructure is, and it is about having no definition for what information technology equipment is in the bill, so that every Tom, Dick, and Harry that produces a piece of electronics can say, this is intended for critical infrastructure, and exempt themselves from right to repair. And they're very close to getting it through. What I find particularly weird here is that one of the people that is involved in this bill is a retired military officer. And as I've shown you on this channel last year, many military officers and the highest ranking military officers in the country have been talking about how ridiculous it is that they cannot fix their own things when we're talking about equipment that is used at the highest level of the military. High-ranking military officials have gone on record begging Congress, we need fixes here. The way that we do things is ridiculous.
Tour bases, you see pieces of equipment that can be upwards of $2-3 million that will be unused for a year at a time because it's something that we can 3D print for a cost of $2 to $20. The American soldiers see that and they're not able to use it, and that is incredibly demoralizing.
What we do makes no sense to me, okay? And so I am a huge supporter of right to repair. I went on the Ford carrier. They had 8 ovens. This is a ship that serves 15,300 meals a day. Only 2 were working, 6 were out. And I said, you've got 5,300 people on the ship. You're telling me someone can't fix an oven? We got a lot of engineers. We can, but we need to wait for the contractor to get out. I asked the question about our elevators. If an elevator go out, what happens? We've got to call Huntington. They've got to call the 4 other people. They have to come out and diagnose the problem, and then they'll fix it. It is crazy. we should be able to fix this. We need to really try to ensure going forward we control our IP and we have the ability to fix things, because if we're in a fight, how do we fix it then? Senator, I agree we need to have the right to repair our ship.
Yet here you have people who are retired military officers who are actively pushing legislation that is going to move us completely backwards and shit on the progress that has already been made, which I don't like. I don't even necessarily blame the officers or the politicians, because I don't think they really understand all of the bill. And I'm not going to put the blame on them. I'm going to put the blame on the lobbyists, TechNet. I'm going to put the blame on the companies, Cisco. Even Apple and Google did not ask for this type of exemption from the bill, which should give you an idea of just how ridiculous what they're asking for is. So here's what I'm going to ask of you. There are several people that can kill it. You have Senator Jesse Danielson. You have Senator Nick Henriksen. My apologies if I mispronounce your name. And you have Senator Iman Joda. My apologies if I mispronounce your name. If you live in Colorado, please do reach out to these legislators before this bill gets a committee. There is time to kill this bill and get it out of the way. Don't let Cisco win. Don't let the millions of dollars that Cisco has spent on this push back. I don't have the millions of dollars to push back against Cisco, but I do have millions of subscribers that are actively engaged and, in my opinion, on the right side of things. And if I can activate all of you to contact these Colorado legislators in a kind, polite, caring way and respectfully request that this bill not move forward because it benefits Cisco at the expense of the American taxpayer and worker, this would be very helpful and I would be in your debt. Thank you very much for taking the time. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.